Dig deep inside you and find a force that can pull you higher, like a mountain rising above the fields below it. There is a bigger version of you that goes beyond the limits of your daily life. Henry T. Hamlin's lessons can help you find your hidden potential by bringing your mind and soul into harmony with the rules that guide all living things. You'll find your real self and your divine inheritance as a child of God through self-discovery and consistent character growth. You can't get out of the cosmic plan. Its problems can't be avoided or sped up in any way. Each of us has to go on our own unique trip through the depths of our minds, where we will suffer and lose things. You don't have to let these problems get the best of you, though. You live in a fortress that can't be broken down because it is built on truth. When you accept the deep secret that you are one with life and the cosmic force, life's storms will not hurt this fortress. This book doesn't make false claims that life will be easy. That would be a bad thing. Instead, it gives you the strength to become so strong that life seems easy in comparison. The problems you face in life may not go away, but you will change, becoming a stronger and more confident person. You will learn how to avoid harm that isn't required, because most people's lives are filled with pain that could have been avoided. Having the right attitude about life and acting in line with general rules can help you have fewer problems. This book will help you live a life that is full of unity, meaning, and happiness. It will lead you to your inner greatness and give you the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing yourself. You will learn how to use and show your spiritual and mental skills, which will set you on a path of unending power and growth. Chapter 1. Using your mind to make miracles happen. You have an infinite power inside you, a spiritual force that can't be defeated and lasts forever. This power goes beyond everyday life, the human thought, and the limited will. It is spiritual and of a higher order than the physical and even the mental worlds. This has been dormant inside you, waiting for you to grow and change until you are ready to use it. Not only does the inner mind have powerful abilities, but the spirit also has much stronger and more developed abilities. Thought itself is a very strong spiritual force. You can either rise and connect with the global force or fall away from the divine flow by the way you think. Your thoughts are your most powerful tool because they let you connect to the infinite or cut off your mental link to your divine source. You are linked to the universe through the holy spark that lives inside you, your true self. You can have divine life and power if you only know it. But you can't get the power that is truly yours until you realize that you are one with the holy source of all life. When you become aware of this inner information, you realize that you have unlimited power and resources. You have this power, which comes from God, but it won't be shown to you until you're ready to have it. You are filled with the power of the Holy Source when you understand that you are one with it. A lot of people are afraid that if these secrets get out, psychic power could be abused. Strong personalities may, however, be able to access secret powers without even realizing it, but they can only use spiritual power for bad things. Some people, called black magicians, abuse their skills, but in the end they end up poor and unable to do anything. These people read every occult book they can get their hands on to learn more about the subject, but they never find what they're looking for. People who are looking for the truth can't see until they are ready for the reveal. On your path to finding the truth, when you give up selfish goals and stop putting your will against the greater will of the whole, you are ready to be shown how you are one with the infinite. Giving in to the will of the whole might look like a sign of weakness, but it's the key to a life with almost endless power. You're not different from God, and you never have been. The division you feel is just a dream caused by your blindness and lack of faith. You are one with everything that is. The divide you feel is mental and comes from not seeing or believing. You can't be split up from spirit because you are spirit and a part of the whole. Living, moving, and being are all in God, who is the Spirit that lives inside you. Most people don't know about this close connection with God. In a way, they are cut off from the inner life of God because they don't know or won't believe. However, they are not really separate. This is just something they think and believe. Once you understand how you really connect with the infinite, you go from being weak to being strong, and from death to life. 1 minute you are weak and alone in the desert, and the next you understand you are God's child and have all the rights and abilities of a kid. You become aware that you have access to all of the infinite's power, that you can never really fail, and that you are moving towards success. Imagine how powerful your thoughts are. Thoughts are not the power of the Spirit, but they can connect you with power that knows no end. What you think about yourself makes you who you are. It's as if you were really cut off from God and His power if you believe that. But if you really think that you are connected to the universe, you will see that this is wonderfully true. You will always live a limited life if you think you are just made of matter. You can never rise above it. But if you really believe that you are spiritual, you will find that you have all the skills of a spiritual being. You have unlimited power because you can link with the spiritual power of the world through faith in your own power. You have the ability to be a god because you have a heavenly spark that connects you to the sacred flame. You have to change before you can be a part of your divine inheritance. It is important for you to learn to think about the spirit as a spiritual being instead of the skin as a material being. Like the lost son, you need to pull yourself together, leave the husks and pigs in the faraway land, and go back to your dad's house, where there is plenty of the bread of life. Chapter 2. Finding joy in the hard things in life. The main point of life is to get wise through experience. This is reached by getting past life's problems instead of giving up on them. God only keeps His promises to people who do well in life, not to people who fail. There is no guarantee that life will always be easy and happy, but most people want a life without pain and stress. They search for hours and hours, but they never find what they're looking for because something is always getting in the way of their happiness. Or maybe a chain of events stopped them from what they wanted to do. There is a paradox in life. Happiness isn't the main goal of life. It's what happens when you reach the main goal. People who only want to have fun year after year without thinking about what life is really about will never be happy. It goes away like a passing sigh. People who find and follow their true calling in life, on the other hand, are happy in their own way. People used God as a crutch in the past. When bad things happened, they thought they could pray to God to make them go away and then float through life without learning from its lessons. This idea is still around today. People have given up on old beliefs and joined different groups and isms to get away from their problems. However, they are sure that they can get what they want from the spiritual world by claiming it. They no longer think that prayer can earn God's special favor. They think they can get what they want, which means having a good time without any bad experiences, trials, difficulties, or problems. But they want to find a rainbow. They never seem to find the easy life they want because it doesn't exist. The only people whose life is easy are those with strong souls who have won. It's not really easy, but because they are so strong, it looks like it is. You can't make your life easy, and if you could, it wouldn't be worth living. The only point of life is to gain character and knowledge through experience. Life should always have new things to learn. This book is meant to help people who are having a hard time with life. There is no such thing as an easy life for most people. But this book should bring hope and strength to wise and aware people who are looking for truth wherever it may come from and who want to get through life's problems instead of giving up easily. We're not going to talk about why bad things happen to us or why some people seem to have better lives than others. We have to accept that we will have to deal with problems and get through tough times. Only then can we become wise and build our character. We'll have problems and hard times, but the question is how we'll deal with them. Will we come out on top, or will we be sunk? Will we fight the problems we face in life, or give up? Life is like a sea, and most people are just drifters, being swept along by every wave. Few people are aware that they have the power of the infinite within them, which can help them rise above all their problems, get over their weaknesses, and gain knowledge through triumph. A reader who is focused on getting things done might say at this point that getting wise is great, but what they really need is help with their everyday tasks. They may be jobless, sick, or in debt, or they may not have any money problems, but be in a lot of pain and misery. I would tell all of them that they have the power to get through all of their problems, and by doing so, become wise. Faith. Faith in the good reason of life, faith in the power of the universe within them, and faith in their ability to get through anything is the most important thing for success. How much power someone can bring into their life depends on how much faith they have in it. If they don't have much faith, their lives will be weak and empty. If they believe in the force inside them, great power will come into their lives. It only takes unshakable faith and believe in the infinite to know that it has unlimited power. Even the most shy and weak people can use this skill. People who are scared and weak have the same power as people who are brave and strong. The first group is weak because they don't believe others and think they have unlimited power. Every life has problems and challenges, and sometimes there will be terrible things that happen and people will suffer, and it will feel like the world is ending. Still, if you call on your inner power, you can come out of the wreckage of long-held hopes and dreams stronger and bigger. How we deal with the problems and issues we face in life decides how happy and successful we really are. Bad things happen to everyone, but if you have the right mindset, even loss can help you reach your goals. Life's storms quickly overrun and break those who try to fight bad luck and suffering with the weak light of their shallow minds and fake personas. People who believe in their own strength, on the other hand, can't be defeated or pushed over by power that is too strong. No matter how much power is needed, there is always enough. People who come to terms with who they really are spiritually know that they will never really fail, die, or lose. Even after 1,000 losses, the true self can't be killed or fail. Through the process of death, they may lose their bodies, but they get back up. You will feel all the joys of victory and accomplishment if you accept the spiritual force that lives inside you. You will own everything. These things will be added to you if you first seek the kingdom within. This is your spiritual oneness with the universe and your alignment with God's will and purpose. You won't have to worry about tomorrow because you'll know that everything has been planned. The things you need every day will always be there. That means there won't be a need to get rich. God will take care of your health, so you won't need to be close to a doctor. You won't have to be sad because you'll know everything is fine. You will know that the infinite is error-free, so you won't have to think about what might happen further down the road. Chapter 3. Fate or Free Will. The debate about free will versus fate has been going on for a very long time. Many people believe in fate and say that we can't change our paths because we are stuck in the wheel of fate. They are sure of their theory and have good evidence to support what they say. But people who believe in free will strongly say that people are as free as the air and are not limited in any way. They also have a strong theory backed up by a lot of facts that prove what they believe. They both think the other is wrong, even though neither side is completely wrong. Let's look into this question because it's important and has something to do with the theme of the book. First, let's agree that both sides are partly right and partly wrong. Even though we have free will, we are still stuck on the wheel. This paradoxical idea comes from old beliefs. We are tightly connected to the wheel of fate before we change and grow. We do what we want, which makes a world we can't get out of. As we grow and become more free, though, we start to fight our baser wants and aim for greater things. This leads to a better future and frees us from our past slavery. As long as we are slaves to our physical wants, we are slaves to our fate. Still, we have the power to fight lower urges and rise to higher ones. We stop making a terrible future when we do this, and we are free. You have made your own fate, and you need to be aware of this before you can move forward. People who haven't lived a lot, or who haven't paid close attention, may say it doesn't exist, but people who have been through big changes in their lives and fought them in vain know that life's events have a purpose that even kings and powerful people can't change. In other words, there are times in our lives when we seem to move heaven and earth. We fast, pray until we can't pray any longer, give up our money, health, and future possibilities, and do everything we can to stop danger. But no matter how hard we try, or how loudly we scream at an unbending sky, fate will keep moving forward. It moves like a juggernaut, crushing our dreams, our most cherished heroes, our lives, or anything else that makes life worth living, leaving us alone. How can we fight fate if it is so cruel and strong? How does free will fit into all of this? To answer your question, it's not possible to fight fate. We break ourselves more the more we fight against it. Some big things have to happen in everyone's life. It doesn't make sense to fight these things that will happen and changes that will happen. Destiny means that these things will happen, but how we deal with them is up to us. They will kill us if we don't deal with them well, but if we deal with them the right way, discipline and experience make us stronger. Our skills improve so that we can better handle the tasks and demands of life. People who deal with life's problems, tragedies and failures with the right attitude become strong and better people. Through life, they become softer, stronger, and more solid, and they become a good impact on everyone they meet. When things are going well and life is full of happiness, it seems like there is no need for thought or religion. We might think we don't need it and can go through life without any problems. But there are times in life when we need more than just a good philosophy. We need a power that our limited selves don't understand to lift our souls out of the ashes of hopelessness. There is a big difference between having the right attitude and having the inner strength to get through life's difficulties. People who think their power comes from outside sources instead of within themselves will never be able to overcome hardship. People will never really fail, though, if they know how strong they are inside and how it can lift them out of even the darkest depression. When bad things happen in their lives, they will rise above them and make their lives better and more beautiful. This brings us to the difference between our big fate and the things that happen to us in life. Our grand destiny, as it's sometimes called, began before we were born, and we won't talk about its beginnings here. For now, it's enough to say that we get back what we put out. The way we deal with the problems we face now will determine how we will move forward. Our grand fate is set by an all-powerful rule that can't be stopped. But how we deal with this fate and how we bounce back from its hits determines our lives and circumstances. We can make our lives beautiful even if things seem unfair. With the power within us, we can rise from the ashes of broken dreams and start over, making a life that is more in line with our highest goals. Beyond the way our thoughts and actions shape our future, there is a bigger plan. Everything is included in this amazing plan, from the idea of an infinite world to the smallest electron. Nothing can stop it from happening, and it happens with perfect accuracy through the ages. You can see how it weaves our past into our present life and our present into our future. It puts everything together into this big form with infinite skill. It's important to follow this plan. This is also our fate, but we get to choose how we follow it. willingly and happily, or unwillingly and painfully. That's free will. Some people who study the hidden sciences, especially astrology, say that the star under which a person was born determines their life. This is only true if you give in to the things that happen to you in life. Even though these effects can be good or bad, they are still just that, influences. People who don't give up in tough times and believe in their own strength will make it through any storm. These effects will happen no matter what, but we can rise above them. We will have challenges, but we can use them to move forward and become successful. We will feel pain and sadness, but they will help us become better people and reach higher goals. People who give up and refuse to rise again and remake themselves will suffer more and fail in the end. Take heart, those who are sad. If you believe in your own power, you will reach impossible heights. You can do things that seem impossible when this power is on your side. Our lives are not run by a whimpering God who does bad things to some people and good things to others. The Supreme Being runs things by rules that are fair and can't be changed. Every bad thing that happens in life is caused by something, usually something we did wrong in the past. These acts set off forces that can't be stopped by human strength, creativity, or understanding. But because love is the most important law in the world, the law of cause and effect is not angry. Its goal is our greatest good, which is to bring us together with the divine in balance with the infinite. When we elevate ourselves and connect with the divine, we weaken even our grand fate. We can't fight it, because that would mean going up against all power, but we can stop it before it happens by choosing to learn what life's events would teach us otherwise. Painful events are sometimes needed to teach the soul things it hasn't learned yet. You can only learn these lessons if you go through hard things with the right mindset. We make our problems worse now and in the future when we think life is unfair and we don't deserve what it gives us. When we understand that life is fair and that our problems are inside of us, like the wayward son, we come to our senses and start our trip back home. A bad character is another reason for problems. Problems and difficulties can make you stronger and more stable as a person, as long as you face them with the right attitude. What we do and how we think now determines our whole future. We are in charge of it. If we break the law of love, bad things will happen to us in the future, and we will suffer. If we think and act in the right way right now, we not only make things better now, but we also make a future that is more peaceful and open than anything we've ever known. It is important to remember that some big bad things happen even in this life because of choices and actions completed in this life. Teenagers and young adults can make terrible mistakes that will have terrible effects on their lives later on, or they can hurt someone and then be hurt again years later. From this point of view, things always go eye to eye and tooth to tooth. But the lessons of the Great Way help us rise above these small things and live peaceful, happy lives by stressing the power of love. Chapter 4. The Law of Cause and Effect That Can't Be Changed. Bad things that happen in life are not chance acts of a whimsy God. They are direct results of what we do. We get back exactly what we put out, and life is fair and just, and rewards everyone based on what they do. Today is the gathering of seeds that were planted in the past, maybe a long time ago. The bad things that happen to us are not God's judgment. They are just the way a totally fair law works. Destiny can't be changed once it's set. We can't run away from or fight it. When we fight against fate, we destroy ourselves, like when we hit our heads on a stone cliff. The more we fight, the worse we hurt ourselves, but the cliff stays the same. Destiny is the divine meaning of life, even though most of us make it ourselves. It's like fighting God if you try to stop it. The soul can learn things it hasn't learned yet and become wise through a series of corrective experiences. It's not a punishment in the cruel sense. destiny is here to help us in the best way possible, even if it means going through painful things. Life's problems are caused by mistakes we made in the past, so how we live today determines our future. Our future lives will rest on how we live now if we've set off a chain of events and experiences that we can't get out of. If we learn from our mistakes and stop making new problems, we can start to move up the path of liberation, which is a road that only advanced minds can take. We can break free from the wheel of fate if we go this way. This book doesn't say that people are reborn, but it is based on the idea that we are spiritual beings, holy sparks of the sacred fire. As an eternal being, the spirit has no beginning or end, so it always lives. This life is made up of many events, and each one shapes who we are. There's no death. You just move from one car to another. You can't really have a starting, an end, or time. These are just mental limits. We don't really die. We just leave our bodies. We might try to kill ourselves, but we can't. The only thing we can do is force ourselves out of our bodies. We have to keep moving forward through the ages, whether we want to or not. We get back exactly what we put out. With this information, we can decide what will happen to us. There will be peace and harmony in the future if we live decent lives and own up to our mistakes. Our lives and the world around us are not just random events that happen to us. We actively shape them. It's not possible to directly stop or fight fate, but we can break free from its grip by following God's rules. Most of our problems aren't caused by fate itself. They're caused by our refusal to accept life's bigger purpose. When we try to escape or reject life's lessons, they make our problems worse until we pay attention to them and change how we act. Every single one of us has the power to enjoy the moment and make our futures better. By following God's rules, we can change our position. There are both short-term and long-term effects of every thought and action, even though we only fully understand the meaning of our lives after we die. There are also huge changes happening in our lives right now. What a young person does with their chances has a big impact on their life as an adult. We can't get back chances we've lost, and mistakes and wrongs from the past tend to come back to haunt us. Someone who ruthlessly climbs the success ladder by stepping on others may later be treated the same way. As soon as you plant something, you will get something back in this life. This harvest could take years, but we will always get back what we put in. People who complain about how unfair life is make their problems worse. Before we understand that our problems start inside of us, we can't change our situations. Change that lasts starts inside. Our ideas, thoughts, and ways of looking at life need to change. This change inside us fixes our present life and makes the future more fair and good. This is the secret to all lessons that are hidden. The soul wakes up to aware life at the new birth, also called regeneration. The old self dies because it is tied to fate and the plane of cause and effect. Your awareness has moved from the plane of sin, death, passion, and desire to the higher plane of spirit. You are born with a new self. Here, we understand that we are holy, and that the spark inside us is our real selves. We know that our true inner selves have always been with us. Ideas like beginning and end, change and decay are only found in the material world and have no place in truth. The truth is endless being. Everything else is just a dream. You don't have to believe in rebirth, or that everything you do has to happen on this plane. To know that we can't die or get away from ourselves is enough. To know that not seeking union with our holy source only makes our pain last longer is also enough. We need to change what we want and what we hope for. We need to turn away from hate and evil and toward love and goodness. We need to rise above our lust and ego and do bigger and better things. This change is not caused by our limited selves, but by the endless power inside us. Our inner spiritual power is only possible when we understand that we are one with the infinite and think that we have access to omnipotent power. This power is blocked by doubt, fear, and not believing. It is ours, but the way our hearts and minds are right now keeps us from realizing it or using it. To live the new life, we need to connect with endless life and power, just like a workshop's tools need to be plugged into a power source for them to work. This doesn't get rid of life's trials, problems, and difficulties, but the inner change stops problems and pain from happening in the first place. It's no longer possible for bad luck to hurt us. More we grow in our union with God and endless love, the less power bad things have over our lives. It might still get the job done, but it hurts less deeply. Good has come to bless, not evil to destroy, because our eyes are now open. When we stop fighting our painful fate and accept it, it loses its power over us. We can then learn from it. Chapter 5. The Cost of Empty Success. To be truly successful, you don't need to get rich or famous. For the greater good, it's about making the world a better and richer place. We can be successful even in a small way if we work hard at our weaknesses, help others, and do our jobs as well as we can. If we can be thankful for the time we had and know we made the most of it at the end of our lives, then we have truly achieved. People who try to get rich and famous often fail at life the most. Even if they get rich, they learn that money can't buy happiness or the things that really count. It costs too much for this kind of empty achievement. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his own soul, was said by the wisest person who ever lived. We should aim for better things and be more honest with ourselves. You are not a citizen if you just drift through life without trying to make it better. To be good, we must always try to get better and go beyond what we think is possible. People often fail in life because they have weak character. Life's hits and difficulties can only be handled by people with strong personalities. It will be hard for anyone who wants to live a life of respect, success, and service. This is how it should be, because it gets rid of the weak and undeserving and rewards those who show faith, courage, persistence, patience, joy, and character strength. It's not always good for the person who gets success, especially when it comes to money. You won't be happy with it for long, but it's useful in other ways. Service-based success is good for the society. Normal people would have a hard time without these kinds of people. Also, trying to be successful makes you a better person. To win the fights of life, we have to be ready to be tested and tried in every way you can think of. Those who make it through these tests improve their character in almost every way. Even if we do well, though, we will still be tempted and tried. In the tough worlds of business and politics, people can become cold and heartless if they are not careful. This might be the worst failure of all of them. People who are moving up the success ladder are drawn a lot more than people who are stuck in the valley of failure. This is true not only to people who want to grow spiritually and to people who are successful in the world. They have been given a lot of power and influence, which is a big duty. If this power is used to get what you want, bad things will happen. Life is a constant battle. Most people find it hard to deal with the problems and situations they face every day. More advanced minds don't have to worry about these things, but they are still tempted and tried in more subtle ways. People who think that taking a certain road will make their trip easier are not being honest. As we get better at the problems that other people find hard, we will be tried in new, more subtle ways. Experiences are what make us who we are. Life isn't just about short-term pleasures. We need to be strong, smart, and steady if we want to win. If we want our lives to have real meaning, if we want to help others more, if we want to grow as people through experience and get over our flaws, we need to look inside ourselves for the strength and knowledge that we already have. People have psychic skills, but they should never use them for their own benefit or to get rich. Throughout history and spiritual teachings, there is an unbreakable rule that says you can't use these skills to make money or even get basic things. Even Jesus, who was tempted in the same ways we are, didn't turn stones into bread because he knew it would get in the way of his bigger goal. A lot of people today abuse their psychic abilities to bring things like bread, cars, bank accounts, land, and homes into their lives. This way will end badly because it goes against the spiritual power of the whole world. The enemy of souls tempts people who know how to use the universe's unlimited power by giving them money, fame, power, and praise from other people, all of which are temporary, in exchange for twisting this divine gift. In the same way that Jesus did, we must resist these urges and put service ahead of ourselves, giving instead of taking. Many people are taught to control life and use secret skills for their own benefit, which is a bad thing. Getting what you want should be their motto, as they are told to ask for what they want. This is a dangerous road that has led many people looking for the truth wrong. You can move forward with the help of the world if your goal is to serve and give, and you want to be successful by doing good things instead of abusing your power. When this power is woken, it should be used for good, like helping others and looking for fair trades, instead of taking from others no matter what. Remember that you should only use this power with love. If you do anything else, it will kill you. You shouldn't use it with your own limited will. Instead, you should use it in line with the will of the whole. There is a spiritual reason behind every life, and the best way to be successful is to align with that purpose. Don't take this as a call to fail or not achieve anything. The universe is proof that the mind that knows no limits always wins. We too can be successful, but let's be smart and driven at the same time and work for everyone's sake, not just our own. While it's normal to want to get ahead in life, the real key to success is becoming more efficient so you can help others and live a better life. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make things better for yourself, as long as you do it with knowledge and a focus on helping other people. But desire that isn't slowed down leads to missing out on real happiness and sorrow in the end. Don't take this as a dislike of great accomplishments. Some people are meant to have huge tasks, but their real success rests on why they want to do them. If all they want is power, fame, and money, their lives will end up being losers. Giving back is the key to real success. Remember that making progress, achieving goals, and trying are all important. The law of the universe is growth, so keeping still is bad. Even if it means failing over and over again, we have to keep going and learn from our mistakes. Getting more information, wisdom, and understanding is what makes you truly happy. For real understanding, you have to stop worrying about getting things right away and aim higher. We won't just get things done and be successful. People who work hard while others have fun are the ones who achieve. If the instructions say something different, they are not true. Affirmations and mental tactics won't give you success when you don't deserve it. Bad things happen when people use magical powers to get money or success. This is called black magic. To be successful, you have to make yourself more useful and helpful to other people. A saying goes that giving is more blessed than receiving. Set success as your top priority, take on more duty, and give better service. To gather, you have to plant something first, and then wait for it to happen. Make yourself bigger and better, and reach out to people in every way. As you do this, your success will grow. It takes work and resolve to break out of a rut. You will have the power to reach your goals, though, as long as they are good and not about you. We all have the imagination, vision, courage, faith, determination, persistence, hope, joy, and other traits that are needed to be successful in life and on the spiritual road. Remember that you shouldn't use this power to get what you want or to control other people. Bad things happen when you misuse something. Please only use it for good things that will help other people and the greater good. After this point, keep going. The divine urge pushes you to do better, just like planets have to go around the sun. You must also move forward. Your future rests on it, so make sure your goals and plans are based on eternal knowledge. Chapter 6. The Mind-Body Link. We can't fully explain why some people receive weak bodies and others have strong ones in this short look, but it's clear that the time of rough, raw health is coming to an end as people become more sensitive and aware of their own minds. The old idea of strong health came from the fact that we are animalistic and our instincts run our bodies. People who were less evolved didn't seem to be affected by the mental turmoil, psychic changes, and spiritual discord that affect people who are more evolved. This is clear in some types of insanity, where people lose their heads but get healthier physically. Their instinctual thoughts take over, making them feel rough and animalistic. When these people's thoughts were busy with worries, hopes, plans, lusts, hatreds, and sorrows, on the other hand, their health often got worse. This was because thoughts and feelings that were out of control were making things difficult. When their conscious minds gave up control, they stopped thinking about these things, which let their natural minds work without being interrupted. It's pointless to long for the good old days when everyone was healthy. We're changing into a better, more sensitive type because of evolution. When you are this sensitive, wrong feelings and thoughts quickly show up as pain and suffering. A lot of people don't know what health really means. They sometimes get headaches, heartburn, arthritis, and neuritis, but they never really feel better. There is no joy, energy, or vivid pleasure in their lives. They only live in a dull beat that is dying. In addition, most people can get contagious diseases and outbreaks, even though being truly healthy would make them resistant. Instead of getting immune through good health, they depend on shots and serums, which put extra stress on their bodies. This method is bound to fail. One sickness is pushed to the background, but then another one shows up. A lot of people think that getting sick and hurt is expected, but the truth is that being healthy is our natural state. People who don't follow natural laws are usually sick, and a lot of them break almost every known health principle. Still, it's amazing that they're working at all. Following natural rules and using natural ways to heal can help, but there are deeper reasons that go beyond the body. Even if they follow all the basic rules of health, many people still have trouble finding happiness. To get to the root of health problems, this means looking into the mind. The mind is a major source of sickness. It is well known that thinking about sickness and pain makes them happen in the body. People who think about illness, surgery, and other depressing things all the time are drawn to them. When you think dark things, your body goes into a morbid state that makes it more likely to get sick or stay sick. Not only do our own bad feelings and thoughts affect us, but so does the group mind's magical spell. Every one of us is affected by a big illusion of evil, sickness, pain, and other flaws. Even though they aren't really real in the deepest sense, they feel very real to us. We can break this hypnotic spell by seeing the truth and making our lives and thoughts match its light and power. It can make our health a lot better, but it doesn't mean we won't age. We're also hypnotized by ideas from different places, conversations with friends and strangers, their views about how real and inevitable disease is, and the bad things they say can affect us without us even realizing it. We are also affected by newspapers, magazines, and books, which often have the same false ideas. Many sources imply in a subtle way that sickness, pain, and infections are unchangeable facts of life. This sends our life force in the wrong direction, which leads to sickness and bad health instead of our normal state of well-being. But that natural state can be brought back if you know the truth and live in unity with its power and light. Behind all the images and flaws in our sensory lives is absolute truth and beauty. Being aware of this fact and basing our thinking on it helps us move our minds away from negativity, error, and illusion, leading to true health. People often think that sin causes bad health, but this is not true. It is a bigger sin to think that sickness and bad health are unavoidable. You can live a full life if you connect your mind, body, and spirit with the divine, which is perfect, whole, and can't be changed. When we think about how limited our bodies are, we cut ourselves off from the divine life force that lives inside us. Many things that bad thoughts do are bad for our health. For example, having lustful thoughts can make you unhappy and give you nerve illnesses. The divine energy inside us gets sent in the wrong direction, which can lead to either overindulgence and physical weakness or denial, and the mental illnesses that come with it. Being stuck on bad thoughts will always have bad results, whether they show up as harmful behaviors or poor health. We need to learn how to direct and control our thoughts instead of pushing them away. Repression makes things worse, but refocusing changes things for the better and makes us healthier. It's also bad for your health to hold on to negative emotions like anger, fear, worry, grief, and anxiety. These bad feelings weaken our body's defenses, leaving us more open to getting infections and diseases. Our emotional state and the kinds of ideas we have are clearly important to our health and cannot be ignored. It is pointless to try to treat illness or bad health without also treating the mental problems that are causing them. To really heal, we have to get to the root of the problem, which is often in our minds. Eventually, replacing bad thoughts with good ones can do great things. There is a lot of power and knowledge in our inner mind. The way we think about this power can either make our lives healthier, more peaceful, and more beautiful, or it can make them worse. This power is good by nature, and it seems to have infinite wisdom. However, it only goes where our thoughts take it. We can make good or bad things happen with our thoughts, because if all of our thoughts are good and helpful, then our bodies and lives will be built in perfect balance. Can this be done? That's the question. We can reach our goals if we are driven to do well and train ourselves to keep going even when things look hopeless. Some people might say they can't let go of their bad thoughts and feelings and don't want to be good. Even though it is their choice, they will have to go through pain to learn a lesson they would rather not have to. Some people might say they want to control their thoughts, but they can't stop worried or hating. If you want to be healthy, your heart's attitude is more important than your mind's attitude alone. The Bible says that a person is what they think in their heart. The soul, or the part of us that wants and feels things, is called the heart. These are the places where our physical wants and our spiritual longings meet, as well as our own will and God's will. Unfortunately, problems with the mind, body, and spirit are also the root of all sadness, conflict, and bad health. The first one is the main reason, and the last two are results that make the first one happen. A state of mental discord is the root of all sicknesses and diseases. Until spiritual unity is restored, we will remain a country split against itself, which, as our Lord said, can't last. Being healed spiritually is the only way to really get better. We can't really heal until we get rid of our hate, fear, and worry, which we can't do until we reach this unity. It was a kind of spiritual health for our Lord to get better because it meant forgiving sins, changing the wants of the heart, and lining up the will of the subject with the will of God for the whole. It brought back the balance inside. There was no advice or force of will used. Instead, the heart, emotions, and will were brought into line with the divine. Our mental health can't get better until we make peace with God. We can't get past our hate, anger, and rage until we give in to the idea of love. Without giving up our problems and letting God's will guide our thoughts, we will never be able to stop worried and fearing. After this inner change, you need to be able to control your thoughts and train your mind, because we all have to work out our own redemption. But what's most important is that the heart gives up in love and trust. We will never be well as long as we hate our brother, are afraid of what tomorrow might bring, or worry about everyday things. But when we've tuned in to divine unity, learned to control our feelings and thoughts, and turned our material and sexual wants into acts of loving service, we will always be whole. As time goes on, old, deeply rooted illnesses go away, and health steadily gets better. To get healthy again, we need to keep raising ourselves to the holy standard of health, harmony, and perfection. But this doesn't help if the person's will is at odds with God's will, or if they are filled with hate, hatred, envy, or fear. The stronger will wins over the weaker will. This is our best good, because God's will is being carried out, and people will be happy. Being able to love and accept others is important for healing. Only then can we reach a state of happy rest and worry-free relaxation. We need to get rid of fear and replace it with trust and full confidence. As the spirit, soul, mind, and body are in a state of harmony, everything is in a fine balance. There must be a bigger balance between God and us for this harmony to work. This peace can't last as long as people are fighting, afraid, feeling angry or hateful, or being selfish. As a result, spiritual harmony is what makes people healthy, and mending is nothing more than restoring balance between people and the source of all life. We are no longer a country split against itself. We were built on union. When this balance is restored, we no longer go against the divine rules that govern us and the world. Instead, we work with them. The free flow of spiritual life and force through us helps our inner minds work at their best. Right at the beginning, our minds are made clean. We are free because God is one. I purposely put off talking about pain and how it affects health until last. Even with good thoughts, you can't avoid suffering in this life. They are a necessary part of life's discipline, and how we deal with them very much determines whether they are good or bad. When people fight against life's rules, their suffering gets worse. But the pain is caused by the way the mind and heart are thinking, not by the illness itself. Sadness hurts and kills health and happiness until the soul can savor the cup of sadness and say, "Thy will be done." But the hurt comes from a hard heart, not the grief itself. So, submission is needed, along with the knowledge that discipline is needed. But this doesn't mean giving up and being weakly complacent in the face of pain and loss. It is true that people who have lost a loved one will never be the same again. They become more grown, wise, sensitive, and softer. People who have lost a loved one will always be in their hearts, but that doesn't mean that sadness should wreck their lives. Real religion, not religiousness, is the only thing that can calm the mind, heal the body, and make the spirit happy. A sad event can only be turned into a gift if the person knows the truth and knows that everything is okay, that God is perfect, and that there is only change, not death. At this point, we've gotten over our sadness and are proud to face death. The only way to solve all of life's problems is to consciously connect with our divine source and the divine will and purpose, which only want what's best for us. Chapter 7. The Mind's Poverty. Your outside life is like a mirror that shows you what's going on inside. This isn't just an idea in philosophy. It's a real truth that affects our lives. In two strong ways, your thoughts and attitudes shape your life. First, your thoughts control your actions without you even realizing it. This makes you create or attract situations that are similar to how you feel inside. If you think about bad things all the time, you'll probably end up in situations that are bad for you. On the other hand, if you keep a positive attitude, you'll automatically bring more positive things into your life. Second, you give off an energy that can't be seen but affects other people. People are either pulled to or away from this energy, even if they aren't aware of it. This means that having bad thoughts not only changes what you do, but it also makes things you want, like good friends, chances and success, move away. On the other hand, having a good attitude brings these things to you. This might sound very different, but let's look at two easy cases. Someone who broke the law is in jail because of what they did, which came from what they thought. A great CEO, on the other hand, got there by working hard and helping others, and they do this by thinking positively and constructively. This is what the Bible means. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your thoughts create your life and the things that happen to you. This isn't just theory. You can see it in real life. Imagine taking someone from a bad neighborhood and putting them in a nice place. It's likely that they'll either go back to how they were living or turn their new home into a slum. On the other hand, someone with a good attitude will either leave or make their situation better if they are put in a bad place. This shows that changing the outside world doesn't help unless you first change how you feel inside. You'll finally get out of your current situation and into a better one if you fill your mind with new goals, ideas, and hopes. People's mistakes, problems, and battles are often just outward signs of their deepest flaws. They may have a lot of ability, but not enough effort or persistence, which causes them to fail over and over again. It's easy to blame outside factors, but the real reason is inside. Otherwise, things won't change. You have to first change yourself. Find your flaws, like not having enough courage, drive, or patience, and work on getting stronger in those areas. As you do these things, your situation will slowly get better. Everyone can use this idea that changing yourself will change the outside world. The universe came from the holy mind and is still contained in it. As the holy mind sees it, the world is perfect. Because our view is restricted, we see it as flawed. Perfect and wholeness that never ends is the only real thing. Lack and poverty come from people's minds, not from the world itself. People who are constantly aware of their lack are stuck and can never get out of poverty for good. It follows them around like a shadow because it shows what's going on inside them. People who live in an awareness of wealth, on the other hand, don't worry about supply. Their mindset of wealth means that all of their wants are always met. They don't all have a lot of money, but they trust that their wants will be met. A lot of people think that having money is bad, but I think that in our world, we can't help but have it. Businesses and projects need capital to run, but keeping money to yourself is not smart and is not needed. Too much money is the worst thing that can happen to your spiritual growth. People who are dealing with addiction always have hope, but it's very hard for rich people to get into the kingdom of heaven. There are some wealthy people who get rich, but only because they know that their wealth is not really theirs. They think of themselves as temporary guardians of this money. Both poverty and hoarding wealth are needless because they come from the wrong idea that everything is limited and material, so it is necessary to fight over and hoard. The truth is that all material comes from a spiritual source, which means there is no end to it. As soon as you understand this truth, any thoughts of poverty or lack go away. There's no reason to get rich, because you'll always have enough. People who know this truth don't value wealth much and stop wanting it. People want to be rich because they are afraid of being poor and think that being rich will free them from their fears. But once they know that their needs will always be met, they don't want money or the responsibilities that come with it. Being rich is just as strange as being poor. Jesus showed this by deciding to be poor, but not really poor. He promised those who believed in their spiritual father enough food, not wealth, in the Sermon on the Mount. A lot of people live this way, depending only on their spiritual source. They will never be wealthy, but their needs are always met. It takes strong faith to live this life, but the effects are as certain as the sun rising. Knowing the truth about support is what this faith is built on. Before you can believe in divine guidance or the way spiritual law works, you have to see how false poverty and lack are. Also, you need to know that the world is spiritual, and that God is the spirit in which we live, move, and have our being. All of our needs will be met forever, because we are a small part of the whole. There is enough supply to meet all of our wants. Poverty and lack are made up in people's minds and are not real. They come from fear, ignorance, and character flaws. When we know the truth, we have to think, act, and praise God as if we already had plenty. We should not spend more than we have or go into debt. Instead, we should imagine that we have plenty. Remember that the shift in awareness has to happen and be well established before it can have an effect on the outside world. It's not easy to reach this higher state of awareness, where we know that all supply comes from a divine source that knows no limits, but serious people can do it. Being aware of God's provision and having real faith will change your life, mostly by changing the things you do, both consciously and unconsciously. The supply comes from a spiritual source, but it reaches us through physical means. We have to earn it by giving something back to life in exchange for what we get. Being aware that there is endless wealth and living in that state of mind as fully as if there were no material channels is the key to abundance. Along with that, we need to work hard and be careful as if there were no heavenly guide. We need to give the world something it wants or do something useful for it, and we should be honest, trustworthy, and fair in everything we do. We shouldn't think that plenty will just fall into our laps. To get it, you have to serve with intelligence and loyalty. As a former businessman who didn't even have good health to begin with, I've looked at this issue from a business point of view. But the concept works in every part of life, and each person can change what it says to fit their own needs. Chapter 8. Your Inner Genius. The mind of nature is the inner mind, which is often forgotten. It is very smart and has a lot of power, but it lacks creativity. It comes from impulse, is normal, and is animalistic, but it's not divine. It has its roots in the physical world and can be compared to the natural forces that live inside our bodies. The mind is important to understand, even though some people treat it like a god. It can help us become more productive by turning our repeated thoughts and actions into habits that we can't live without. We can make good habits that become natural by working at them and thinking positively. These habits will shape our character and, in the end, our lives. Mind's mind is not a god, but a good helper. It's not very inspiring, but it's very useful. A lot of what we do and how we move is done unconsciously. It's true that practice makes perfect, because our inner minds learn how to do things, freeing up our conscious minds to think about other things. You might want to learn how to drive. At first, it takes a lot of focus, but after a while, the mind takes over and the movements happen automatically. It's the same when you play the piano. Piano players who are good at what they do can play difficult songs without thinking about each note. Their mind takes over, and they can only think about the song. There are things going on in my mind besides just writing this text. The conscious mind comes up with ideas and phrases, but the subconscious mind writes the words. The job would be too much for me to handle if I had to think about every word and letter. Even better, the mind does most of the thinking for us, making it even more useful. It can be taught to do even more. It would be awful to have to think through everything using logic all the time. Instead, our mind does most of the work. If given the chance, it will do it very precisely, following the rules of logic without getting tired. It is possible to keep our minds from getting tired if we train them to do so. The mind doesn't know what fatigue is, so we can't work it too hard. We can be more productive and avoid mental tiredness by giving certain jobs to other people. People who are good at controlling their thoughts can think about a problem from every angle and then give it to their mind. This can make them twice as productive and keep them from getting mentally tired. They don't work hard to solve problems. Instead, they just send them to their mind. To reach our full potential, we need to understand and use the power of the brain. We can make our lives more productive, satisfying, and less stressful by actively controlling our thoughts and actions. This will help us form good habits and give our mind the power to work for us. To use the amazing power of your subconscious mind, which is a mental engine that works non-stop and accurately, you need to give it all the information it needs. It doesn't have divine guidance or knowledge, it just follows the facts you give it. This amazing, never-ending force inside you can do even more amazing things. People who write, talk, or teach can collect notes and ideas for their work and give them to their subconscious mind, telling it to order, sort, and improve them. They find that the work is already done when it's time to write or get ready, so they don't have to work hard. In the same way, businesses who know how to use their mind don't have to worry about what they're going to do in the future. They just tell their brain the facts, and it makes plans for them automatically and more effectively than conscious thought could. In a recent conversation, Henry Ford agreed with this method. In order to solve problems, he said, great business leaders let ideas simmer in their thoughts for a while before acting on them. This fits nicely with the idea of giving tasks to your mind. Engineers and inventors can also use their mind. They gather all the important details and give them to their mind. If a good result is possible, a thought or answer will come to you naturally. This isn't magic, even though it sounds crazy. It's possible that a lot of successful people already use their mind in this way without realizing it. They naturally use their whole minds, which helps them be successful and handle huge tasks without stress. These people are very focused and able to concentrate, going into problems in great detail and getting all the information they can. After that, though, they tell their mind to do the hard work and make choices. Some people naturally know how to use their mind well, but most people need to learn how to do it. The first step is to learn how to manage your thinking so that you can choose whether to think about a problem or not. Give up on a problem as soon as you send it to your mind. Don't think about it too much. Trust that your mind will handle it. Second, get as much information as you can about the problem and try to picture it from every angle before you hand it off. This needs a lot of attention, concentration, and the ability to control your thoughts. You can get better at all of these things with focused practice. One method that works is to think about the problem as you drift off to sleep. Give your mind the facts and leave it up to it, like you would a lawyer. Don't try to answer it. Usually when you wake up, you'll have an answer without any trouble or tiredness. Your mind can help you in a lot of different ways. You can't see this force at work, but it brings any idea you have into your life. If you set a high goal, all of nature's unseen forces will work together to help you reach it. Your inner mind will work hard to help you succeed if you focus on the right road and follow through with action. Don't forget that you get back what you put out. If you pick the right thoughts, your mind will make your dreams come true. Chapter 9. Drawing on the Spiritual Mind's Wisdom. The subconscious mind is amazing, but it's also very instinctual and lacks motivation and what we call creativity. Really great ideas come from the superconscious and the general mind. This is where all artists and writers get their ideas. Psychologists don't understand this higher mind, but spiritual seekers have used it for a long time. The subconscious mind works with the facts and information we give it. The spiritual mind, or superconscious mind, gets its ideas directly from higher levels. You could also call this higher mind the mind that knows peace. People who can reach it become enlightened and can see the truth. They can also feel things as they really are, not as their senses make them seem. Our normal awareness is limited by the 5 senses we have. The world we see is made up of real and fake things. The real world is spiritual and endless, but the way we see it is restricted and only shows us a piece of it. Putting our faith in our feelings and our minds leaves us in the dark and uncertain. But when we raise our awareness to the level of the superconscious, we go beyond the physical plane's senses and limits. The divine mind can only be reached by people who are very sensitive to its energies. You have to work hard and be disciplined to get anything useful. These can help us become more aware and see life from the point of view of the general mind. Being able to use this higher mind is not magical or psychic. People who do this just build a divine mind. They don't need to go into trances or become psychic. The people they are still normal, but they use their minds better. Originality is a divine trait that can be accessed by tapping into the superconscious. To rise above average, you need direct motivation from higher levels. New ideas that make people better and help the common good come from the superconscious mind. Those who are properly aligned can receive divine and superhuman information. They know because they have lived it and have become wise through an infusion of divine knowledge. They know the difference between what is real and what is fake, between gold and trash. They can see and know the right way in life, which the sensory mind can't do. They can then follow that road, which leads to real success and happiness. Wisdom has to come from within. Books and written words can be helpful, but the spirit of the person is what really brings the words to life and shines a light on them. When someone says that the Holy Spirit has lit them from the inside and that this is the only way to truly understand, they are well on their way to enlightenment. The mind's understanding always ends in disappointment because it is based on flawed sensory proof. The results it comes to must always be without any real knowledge. People who think they are inspired by heavenly knowledge often have to make decisions that don't seem to be good for them. But if people pay attention to their inner knowledge, they find that it always leads them in the right direction. In the end, they will be glad they followed the holy spark. Chapter 10. How to improve yourself. The most important thing in life is to grow as a person. Being a good person is the only thing that people take with them when they die, and this is deeply true. So, the goal of all religions, mental exercises, and personal growth should be to make people better people. A faith that doesn't help people become better people is useless. If someone thinks they can coast through life without doing anything to improve themselves, they are deceiving themselves. You won't be perfect just because you believe in a certain religion or die. It's not through faith or death that we become strong and perfect, but through success. God helps people who help themselves, and people who don't try to make things better miss out on the wonderful things that could happen. But most people want to know how to get rid of the bad habits and weaknesses that hold them back and could be bad for their health before they even think about big goals like becoming holy and realizing their own worth. A lot of us know that we need to break bad habits and get over our weak spots. We may have fought with them for years, prayed over and over, and tried many times to change, but it didn't work. Many people give up the fight and try to live a double life, acting good on the outside while they are really fighting on the inside. But this doesn't make them feel better because they know they're falling into a deep hole. But there is a way out, and anyone can take it. It seems like we have unlimited powers that can make or break our lives and personalities. The inner mind is where these skills live. This mind is a source of endless energy that can be our best friend or worst enemy, depending on how it is used. Our nervous system changes every time we do something wrong. This stores energy in some cells, which makes it easier to do the same mistake again. On the other hand, every good deed leads to similar changes in the opposite way, which makes it easier to do again. This is why habits are so powerful. What we do can make our bodies, mind, and nervous systems change in good or bad ways. We don't fully understand what an amazing adventure life is yet. We have amazing skills, and depending on how we use them, they can either destroy us or make us stronger in a huge number of ways. What an obligation, but what a wonderful chance. It's not enough to just look at the surface to break bad habits and flaws. Thoughts are what cause all actions, because they are the results of hidden reasons. Someone once said that a thought is a deed in the process of being born. Even though we have basic needs and wants, we can turn them into good deeds and accomplishments by focusing our thoughts and attention on better things. As an example, the power of sex can be changed into brain power by turning thoughts and mind away from sex and toward intellectual activities. If we think too much about sex or desire, on the other hand, we start to move apart from each other and towards the abyss. Understanding and controlling the power of our inner mind is the key to getting through hard times and having a happy life. We can make good habits, break bad patterns, and build a character that will lead us to real success and happiness if we carefully control our thoughts and actions. Our mental hospitals are full of people who are stressed out from modern life. Still, some people love working 15, 16, or even 18 hours a day, even if their jobs are mentally hard. They've learned to change their lower energies into higher ones, not by doing esoteric things, but by following God's order to set your affection on things above. This means that it's important to keep our thoughts and attention on bigger goals, aspirations, and interests. It doesn't help to fight bad habits. They get stronger the more we fight them. When it comes to habits, the order to resist not evil also works. We can get rid of the bad habit without fighting it if we work on creating a good habit that counteracts it or turn our attention to more important things. Whatever we think about or imagine coming true is what our inner mind tries to make happen. When you try to break a habit, your inner mind keeps thinking about it, which is not helpful. Instead, when we focus on something bigger and better, we use our inner power to make that new reality happen in our bodies and lives. We don't get rid of the problem, we just get around it. Our resolution isn't strong enough to beat her. You can use your mind to lead your subconscious, but you can't force it to do what you want. You shouldn't use your will to fight a habit. Instead, you should use it to raise and change your attention. By making a new habit, this takes the subconscious mind's attention off of the old one and puts it on making a better one. The mind doesn't think about whether a habit is good or bad. It's just as ready to make either one. Because of this, we are in charge of our own fate. We can use our mind to form good habits if we train it to think and imagine only good things and keep our attention on them. On the other hand, dwelling on bad things and focusing on low standards leads to bad habits. It's the same power that makes habits. The important thing is how we direct it. When you think and imagine rightly, you must also act rightly. Autosuggestion won't get rid of bad habits or make new ones. Without action, it doesn't help. Young people should focus on games and physical activity unless they are followed by positive action. Older people, on the other hand, should do hobbies and intellectual activities. Some students are very good at controlling their thoughts, but not enough to mentally control their vital forces. When beginners are drawn to think negatively, they should do something else to take their minds off of it. The goal is to change the way wants and vital forces work by managing attention and thinking. This is where real faith shines, because it brings in new ideas and draws attention to more important things. However, the fight has only just started, even after this inner change. To be saved, each of us has to do our own thing. In the beginning, most people need to do something to take their mind off of the bad habit. In the future, when they are better at right thinking, they will be able to direct their thoughts however they want. To do this, you have to be very alert all the time and think about every thought very carefully before letting it enter your mind. Our brains and nervous systems change when we turn every bad thought into its reverse. When you think and act in the wrong way, cells that were used for that stop working, and new cells are used for the right way. This goes to a higher level where changing bad thoughts into good ones and doing the right thing becomes a habit. For instance, brushing your teeth feels awkward at first until you get used to it. On the other hand, someone who used to be messy will feel bad if they get dirty again. For more important habits, it's the same. Focusing on building good habits can help people who are controlled by bad habits break free. Their old flaws will go away on their own. But it's not easy to break habits that last a lifetime. There will be temptations that could cause problems. In this case, don't think about it too much. Take what you've learned and move on. Remember that the mind is ready to be led in the right direction, and if we keep at it until it becomes a habit, God's spiritual power will be behind us. The infinite makes sure that the odds are on our side. Our problems are not impossible to solve. If we don't give up, we can always get through it. Heaven watches with caring eyes and cheers for the fighters when they win and cries with them when they lose. People who seek God can become strong, even though the journey is hard. Even when things look bleak, victory is always possible. Remember that there is always a way out. If you don't give up, God, who frees you, will show you the way. If everyone who wants to be free knows that the power of the universe is on their side and that they are meant to win, they will. I hope every person has the getting rid of bad habits and character flaws brings the greatest happiness. When someone has fought the good fight and won, there is no happiness like it. Chapter 11. Unmasking the Illusion of Happiness. Deep down, everyone has an unquenchable thirst for happiness. The soul that has grown wants it just as much as the person who is looking for happiness. The difference is in how they do things. Because it has lived through many things, the developed soul knows that you can't directly seek happiness. It is instead found through self-mastery, care, and love for others. The pleasure seeker, on the other hand, chases happiness like a dream, trying all kinds of pleasure but never quite getting it. People are never happy with their lives. They're always looking for something better. They look for happiness in things like pleasure, physical indulgence, money, luxury, and belongings until they learn to be wise. People who are less developed are more likely to believe that these outside things can make them happy, and they tend to have fewer wants. People who live on the edges of society may look for happiness in bad behavior and crime. People who are more developed may look for it in creative activities, bonds, and real love. People who are more evolved can feel more pleasure through their senses than people who are less evolved, but they can also feel more pain. They can get a lot of pleasure from going to an art show, but someone less well off might not find it interesting. But they can also go through a lot of pain over things that wouldn't bother someone less sensitive. Even though people are more sophisticated and can find pleasure in art, science, writing, and other things, they still can't find happiness. No matter how hard you try, you can't find it. Being rich, successful, famous, or powerful doesn't make you happy in the long run. They may tempt us at first and promise happiness, but in the end, they let us down and show themselves to be nothing but vanity and spiritual pain. But this wish for happiness is not in vain. It leads us through many situations that teach us knowledge and show us how pointless it is to seek our own happiness. After having all kinds of experiences, the soul finally figures out that happiness isn't something that can be found. It's a state of mind. To be truly happy, you need to work on developing inner peace, love, and knowledge, not things in the outside world. When we stop looking for short-term pleasures and focus on our inner lives, we make room for happiness that lasts. A job well done and work success may make you feel good for a while, but they can't satisfy your soul's inner needs. There is true happiness in service, but not when we do it to find happiness. True happiness comes when we do it just because we want to. Keep an eye on people who hoard for their own benefit. No matter how much money they have, they're never really happy. On the other hand, even a small act of kindness done for someone else can make you feel completely happy. This shows a basic rule of life that is as certain as gravity. Life must have a goal, and that goal must be to make other people's lives better. People must follow the rule of service if they want to be happy. If your present job doesn't seem to help anyone, this might seem like a big deal. You might think that the only way to truly serve is to do good things for the good of all people. It makes sense to think this way, but the truth is that we can all follow the law of service right now in the jobs we have. We just need to change how we look at things. Everyday work doesn't have to be a job or a way to get something else. It can be an act of love for everyone. Let's change how we think about the importance of different jobs to fit with the law of service. If you do even the smallest jobs with a genuine desire to help others, they are worth as much as writing a great work or giving your life for your country. Each act of service is important in its own way. The higher law only cares about the reason. Following the law of service can make you happy in any job, no matter how low it is. Conquering our lower selves, getting over our flaws, and aiming for greater things is another way to be happy. That old habits are breaking, that weakness is getting stronger, and that we're moving toward more freedom gives us a lot of joy. We don't have to stay the same way we were. It is possible for us to keep going up. Even more than happiness, though, joy is a state of being. Being happy comes from helping others and improving yourself, but real joy comes from knowing that you are one with your heavenly source. Ineffable happiness is the truth. Outside of this world of shades, there is a real spiritual realm full of beauty and joy. When the soul finally gets back to its heavenly home after a long journey through matter, time and space, it feels an immense joy that words can't describe. It's not enough to just see that reality is joy and that the world is full of the laughing of free souls. It becomes filled with this unfathomable joy itself. What does this have to do with everyday life? Everything. People who feel this peaceful joy can't be beat in life's challenges. They have an endless source of energy that drives them from victory to victory. Chapter 12. Playing with Fire. The Risks of Changing Spiritual Forces. The normal person doesn't know much about how powerful their mind is. They may suffer from the effects of unconsciously thinking negatively, but they probably won't use their inner powers in a bad way on purpose. People who know how to use these inner forces, on the other hand, need to be careful. If used wrong, these unseen forces of the mind and spirit can do a lot more damage than bombs. This doesn't mean you can blow yourself up, but you can hurt yourself, and you will for hundreds of years to come, which will slow down your mental growth a lot. For both you and the other person, using your mind to force or trick them for your own benefit is very bad. It might look like an easy way to get rich and successful, but in the end, it only leads to failure and poverty. This kind of abuse of mental skills is like black magic, and people who do this will meet a terrible end. It is not okay to use your mind to force other people to do what you think is best for them. Avoid it because it doesn't really help, even if it seems to in the short run. It's not always possible to heal through advice. When the doctor leaves, the patient often goes back to old habits. Teaching people how to use auto-suggestion on their own works much better. Using your mind to control other people is definitely bad if you're doing it for yourself, and it's also bad in the long run if you're doing it for the right reasons. There is no good way to use hypnosis, and it's bad for the person being hypnotized. That's why some of our smartest neurologists have given up on it. We can't use our inner skills to try to change other people, even if our goal is to make them happy. Every soul can live their own life and pick good or bad. That's the point of life, for each person to grow and learn from its mistakes. It's much worse to use other people for your own benefit, like by tricking them into buying things they don't need or signing contracts they wouldn't normally agree to. People who abuse their mental and spiritual abilities end up ruining their own lives. They break the rules of life and the world, which ends badly for them. There are even more delicate ways that these skills can be abused than mental control, persuasion, or force. This way of doing things is just as bad, and if it keeps up, the future will be hard. The only way to control the subtle forces of nature is to use your own will, not to control or influence other people. People think that wealth shows up when they think about the unseen material that all things are said to be made of. Sickness is driven away, and the hidden forces of existence are made to make a life that is safe and easy, with no real challenges or chances to grow. Some people who try this way may seem to be good at first, but they will regret it in the end. Some of the things they do are like witches, and they use black magic. These actions make the soul's trip of growth much harder and cause a lot of pain in the future. It's good to be alone sometimes, but real silence can only be found in the mind, in the inner refuge where the Holy Spirit lives fully. Forcing our human will to exist, to meet our goals, by using inner force for selfish economic reasons is a very bad thing to do that will always end in failure and disaster. Chapter 13. Turning your life around by shifting your consciousness. Realizing the truth can help you get past your limits, but it's not just about working hard. Taking care of your body is important, but changing your mind is what will really set you free. For example, if your limiting is bad health, you need to be aware of how whole God is and how He made everything. If having limited resources is a problem for you, you need to live in the awareness of the substance that the Maker makes everything possible and that can never run out. If chaos and sadness are weighing you down, you need to align yourself with spiritual unity until it shows up in your life. You can be free from any limitation if you look to your spiritual source, understand that in perfect reality, all your wants are met, and then live in the awareness of this truth. A person's bad health can have physical causes, but it's also often a sign that their ideas, feelings, beliefs, and views about life and God are not aligned. To put it another way, people live their lives in a fake awareness of sickness and disease. Before you can heal, you need to make sure that your inner life is in line with your divine purpose and the rules of your being. Giving in to the idea of love and controlling your thoughts to keep bad feelings from hurting your health are two ways to do this. To see reality as the perfect whole, you also need to raise your awareness. By going this way, you can reach a constant mental state of knowing that you are healthy and whole, which shows up in your body as well-being. Your inner state of mind or awareness always shows up in the outside world. Hey, when a person is in a mental space of divine wholeness, health, and unity, all of their inner forces are automatically guided toward their well-being. On the other hand, people who live in mentally unhealthy surroundings often bring illness and disease into the world. In the same way, one could get over a spiritual lack of resources by developing a better awareness of plenty and balance. This changes the way you act without you even realizing it, which makes things better. The kind of people who live in an attitude of lack and constraint create scarcity in their lives without meaning to. This rule works for all kinds of limits. When you know the truth about life and being, you are free. Your life becomes more and more free as you understand and live in this truth and follow the rules of life. It doesn't mean that your flaws will go away, but they won't hold you back either. People will see more in you than what you look to be. Even the most ordinary face can look good when your soul is living and full of love. It also doesn't mean you won't have sadness, problems or bad luck, but you will stop making them worse and making more problems. Having the right mindset will help you get through life's hurdles, build character through hardship, and come out better after the storms. The storms of life don't decide your fate. How you handle them does. You will sink if you give up or fight them because you think they are bad instead of necessary discipline. But if you know the truth, you can get through these events and get where you want to go. Thinking right is the first thing that you need to do to know the truth. Every negative thought needs to be changed into a positive one. Hatred needs to be turned into love, fear into trust, lack into plenty, and bad things into good. It's not easy, but you can do it, and the more you practice, the more control you have over your thinking. You can't expect to have the same level of control as someone who has been working hard to master themselves for years, but every day you can make a lot of progress. It's amazing what happens when you think this way. At first, thought reversal may seem simple and pointless, but as time goes on, it becomes clear how powerful it is. Over time, developing and applying right thought will lead to a deep understanding of the truth, not just intellectual understanding. This is the knowledge that sets you free. You can see that everything is okay by looking back through time. You are set free when the heavy things that used to hold you down fall away. People are born with amazing, limitless powers, but they don't show themselves until we become aware of them and knowingly connect with them. When we are not awake, they might as well not exist because they are not useful to us. There is a new life that starts when we open to the truth of our spiritual being and realize that our small self and limited identity are just masks that hide our true essence. We understand that the spiritual ego, a heavenly spark or offshoot of the endless logos, is who we really are. Our body, mind, and even soul are just ways for this heavenly spark to show itself. In essence, we are spirits that will never die, are forever, and are part of the same soul. It's not smart to use spiritual practices to force growth. As Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branches." There is no need for or benefit to mystical trances. Having psychic experiences and opening up our mental areas are also dangerous and take us away from our goal. Trying to wake up your inner forces through breathing exercises is dangerous and should be frowned upon. Negative passivity, like stopping all thinking and letting anyone affect you, is also dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. Instead, give yourself a short amount of time every night, and if you can, every morning to connect with the real world. Try to understand that your body, mind and soul are just ways for your ego or real self to show itself. Being in touch with the eternal spirit, which Jesus called our Father in heaven, will become more clear over time. For example, you could say, "My body is not me. It's just something that lets me live this material life and gain experience. My mind is not me. It's just an instrument I use and that obeys my will. My soul is not me. It's just a garment of my spirit. My will is not me. It's something I, the true self, use." By doing this, you will get closer to the great truth that can't be put into words and can only be yours through inner spiritual understanding or realization. You can also say a positive statement of truth with respect and confidence, like, "I am a branch of the true vine." Over time, you will feel a huge amount of power and safety that you can't lose. What a big duty this is, because this power should only be used for good and not for harm. If it is used to get money or power in the short term, bad things will happen. But if you use it right, it will have a big, good effect on the world, even if you are not aware of it. You are not responsible for this. If you always try to help and bless other people, then blessings will come into your life on their own, and happiness will be one of the main ones. As soon as you enter the kingdom of heaven, everything good you need will be given to you. You can also use this power to build your spiritual body, get over inner conflicts, and improve your character. This will help you express yourself in the greater worlds. Final thoughts. The lessons that Henry T. Hamlin taught us are a powerful reflection of how much we can do. Some of our thoughts and actions have a lot to do with the world we make. If we use our minds, follow universal rules, and choose to live a life of service, we can all get through tough times, find true happiness, and make the world a better place. This word of hope can help us find our inner power, start the journey of self-discovery, and make a life that makes us happy, fulfilled, and gives us a reason to live. The key to reaching our fullest potential is inside us, just waiting to be let go. If you like this podcast, please think about becoming a full member.